I want to do a little bit about my top 25, take a look at what that's going to look like. We'll probably talk about the playoff projections on our Sunday Night Live show. If you like the show, please subscribe to it right now. Stop what you're doing. Pause the live stream if you're watching it right now or on the replay. Hit the subscribe button. Really helps us. We are this close to going over 113,000 subscribers. It'd be very cool to get to that number before we hit the live show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So at number 1, I got Ohio State because Texas' win against Michigan is not any good anymore, and Ohio State is undefeated too. Ohio State beat a good Iowa team just now. And Ohio State might only have this for the week, right? They lose to Oregon, they're not going to be number 1 team in the country. They beat Oregon, it's going to look really good when I have them at number 1 next Sunday too. I also think it's the best team in college football, right? Number 2, Texas. It's easy, but moving Texas to number 1 off of idle also feels real craven, but I'm sure that somebody in the AP is going to do it. Oregon at number 3, basically because of what has happened in front of them. They defeated Michigan State 31-10, but they're going to have to prove this just next Saturday against Ohio State at Autzen. Georgia moves back up to 4, but I could just as easily put Penn State there, and I probably will, right? Penn State at 4 makes more sense to me. Miami at 4 makes more sense to me. I think Miami, they called this off against Cal. They'll be at 4. Penn State would be at 5. Georgia be at 6. Then we're talking about Clemson, who had a workmanlike win against a Florida State team that sucks. Iowa State beat the brakes off of Baylor. Then I got BYU, who's idle, but is also undefeated. Tennessee drops to 10, just ahead of Oklahoma, who they beat. Oklahoma's idle. They get Texas. They lose Texas, probably not going to be in the top 25. LSU is idle this week, but their loss to USC looks even worse with USC losing to Minnesota. Ole Miss behind them at the 13th spot right now. They beat South Carolina. What was impressive about that is it finally feels like Mississippi got a defense. They had two turnovers, 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss against South Carolina. And Ole Miss is coming off of a bad loss to Kentucky. Bama, worst loss for any team in the top 25. They dropped to 14, 40-35 loss. Kane Womack, not going to enjoy being the main character this week. Whole lot of people going to be going, let me call the defense. This dude sucks. After creating turnovers against a team that doesn't turn over the ball in Georgia, he is now absolutely the scarecrow people going to be throwing rotten tomatoes at. Number 15, I got Notre Dame. Idle this week, but also lost to Northern Illinois. Texas A&M, behind them, who beat Missouri today. Top 10 team they beat, Paper Tigers, that they pasted, and that they posted, and that they hung on the wall like a poster and a pelt. But you know what? Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Okay? Missouri, I got them behind Texas A&M, who they lost to, who lost to Notre Dame, who lost to Directional Illinois. Boise State, still undefeated. Still that one-loss team, right? So being undefeated in the Ashton Genty thing doesn't even factor in because of the loss to Oregon. If they beat Oregon, man, it wouldn't matter. He's still not going to win the Heisman Trophy. 62 points to put up on Utah State. Kansas State, idle this week. I got them at 19 for now. Colorado's a good football team, we think, but then the way that Florida beat Central Florida today, not so sure anymore. We'll see. Get to play that one out. Illinois at 20, Utah at 21. Indiana at 22, I can make an argument to move them up further, and I probably will. Like, I'm looking at Indiana now. They ain't played nobody. So probably 18 is as far as I can go. Because at the very least, Missouri beat a team with a ranking next to their name, as did A&M. But when you're undefeated and you haven't played anybody, it makes you really tricky to rank. So we'll figure that part out. Pitt, undefeated. They beat UNC today. Great for them. But UNC also got 70 dropped on his skull by James Madison. They ain't nobody. They're not any good. SMU beats a Louisville team that was ranked just a couple of weeks and no longer is. Their only loss is to an undefeated BYU, right? Do I think Indiana's a better team than BYU? Yeah, I do. So maybe there's the thing to think about Indiana moving up to, ooh, man, that's a big jump. Moving them up to 11-12, oof. We'll find out here on FoxSports.com pretty shortly, man. Then we got Navy at 25. They're undefeated. You know, like I said, it's a good story. It's going to be a good note. Great for them. If they make the playoff, they're only going to get beat down because that's how these things go. Nebraska, right there on the cusp with the win against an undefeated Rutgers team. Really great win for them, 14-7. Then they get Indiana where they get to absolutely prove it. You beat Indiana, you're getting in the top 25. Hell, you might get in the top 25 off of idle next week because carnage could happen. And then we start taking a look at our 12-team playoff projections, right? So now it's Ohio State at 1, it's Texas at 2, Miami holds on. They're at 3. Iowa State still at 4. And then we get to be funky with it, right? Who is the second best team in the SEC? It's a good question. Right? Is it Georgia? Maybe. Is it Tennessee? Maybe. Is it A&M? Maybe. Missouri? Maybe. Ole Miss? Maybe. Whole lot of maybes through there, right? We're only sure about Texas right now, okay? Keep going down the line, and we get a lot of moving and shaking. I'm going to say it again, though. I don't want to be the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 3 seed, the 4 seed. I want to be the 5 seed. If I could trade if I'm ranked number 1, but I get the option to be number 5 because I get the home game and I get the 12 seed, and then I get the number 4 team and all that, then I finally get to play the number 1 team, but after they played a game so that bye week doesn't matter anymore, that's what I want. Want to be the number 5 team. Want to be the number 5 team in the worst way. All right. That is going to do it for tonight's live episode of the number 1 college football show. College football absolutely, positively did its thing today. If you like the show, we got segments every day. We do live shows on Saturday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, usually after the big game ends. Then we go live Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just before the NFL kicks off. And then Tuesdays, get you ready for the week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate y'all. Love doing this. Love talking to y'all. I'll see y'all on the flip side.